If you listen to the show for any amount of time, you know that I do have a merch store or two, and I don't generally push my merch because I don't feel comfortable hitting you guys up for money. But if you're listening to me on anything resembling a regular basis, you probably laugh at the same things I do. You probably think a lot of the same things I do. So why don't you go check out horribledesigns.com. They have assorted merchandise with funny comments on it, funny t-shirts, funny mouse pads, funny coffee cups, and then some stuff that maybe not necessarily so funny, but is definitely relevant, whether it's a social opinion, an economic opinion, a stance on, things like veganism or whether or not you need essential oils in your life. So, yeah, anyway, that's my little plug. I have some of their shirts. They're comfortable. They're cool. I like them. HorribleDesigns.com. Go check it out. The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off. Welcome to I Had to Say It, the podcast where I talk about things that I feel need talking about, and sometimes they're not getting the attention they deserve. And your feelings, they're not under consideration. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. As is the norm now, we're going to start off with the shout-outs to the patrons, the supporters. We've got Jake, Josh, B-Word, and the Iceman through Patreon, and Jason and Miss Aaron through Buy Me a Coffee. As always, thank you guys so much for the support. I really appreciate it. So to get into it, there's been a couple things that happened this week that are worthy of note, worthy of conversation, worthy of discussion, if you will. The first one I'm going to go into is something that really kind of bums me out for a variety of reasons, and the first thing I'm going to talk about is the fact that Kanye West has apparently completely lost his shit at this point. The man is unwell. Now, as somebody who has spent years and years talking shit about Kanye and having my own personal little beef with the guy that he never knew existed, because who the fuck am I? I'm nobody. I'm not important. Kanye doesn't care that I want to talk shit to his face. I'm sure he has no idea that his name is the first one on my list of future celebrity beefs I want to have. And I'm probably going to have to wind up taking that off because he has done more to well and truly fuck himself out of the mainstream since his relationship with Kim Kardashian collapsed. And, yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on the matter. One of the things is I spent years when they first got together, I joked about the fact that the Kardashian ass is cursed and it destroys every guy who gets involved with it. And at the time, when I said it, it was kind of funny. But at the same time, it's kind of true. Not just Kim, but her sisters and all of their significant others that got drawn into that world want to kind of losing their shit, whether it be, having impacts on their careers or their public personas. All kinds of shit just went sideways. And I joked about it like it was a coincidence or something, but, I mean, who knows? It wouldn't be the weirdest thing I've heard these days. But yeah, so Kanye in mid-meltdown, and if you're unaware of what this shining, stellar individual did, he wound up saying he's been bouncing around. Elon unbanded him from Twitter, if I think that's what it was. Anyway, point being, this guy is out there just saying all kinds of dumb shit. Goes on to Alex Jones's podcast and says that he refuses to. Basically, Alex Jones said, he doesn't know why people are so mad at him. It's not like he's Hitler. And he's like, well, I can even see some of the good Hitler did. And that was pretty much a wrap for it, And then he posted a image on his Twitter account that was a combination of a Star of David and a swastika, and boom, shut off, gone off Twitter. And, some people want to sit there and say, well, so much for free speech, huh, Elon? But there is a line that is generally considered acceptable. Now, there are people actually out there already defending Kanye and saying a lot of different things, like he's not saying that Hitler was a good guy, and a lot of this is contextually important. Yes, Hitler was one of the worst human beings on the planet for a very long time. Did a lot of horrendous, terrible shit. Convinced a lot of other people to do horrendous, terrible shit. anybody that wants to talk about shit about, anything that happened during World War II, the last couple of years have shown how significant mob mentality is in our species. How many people want to talk shit about how they would have resisted that would have been going right along with it if they were there in the 30s. And that's not the soapbox I'm going to get off on this at this point. It's just, it is a fact. A lot of people that want to talk all this shit about how they would have resisted and how they would have done this and how they would have done that are also the same ones that are like, lock me down harder, daddy. I want to make sure I'm safe. No, don't end the mandates. Mandate everything. Make everybody live according to my fears and my beliefs. So, yeah, y'all can get fucked. But if you actually look at the exact phrasing Kanye used, he was... Yeah, I mean, and nobody should ever defend Hitler. I'm not saying anything about defending Nazis. That's fucking horrific and stupid. But it makes you wonder, is he serious? Is he actually that skewed? Is he that whacked? Or is he just trying to troll people? Because what he said is he refuses to say that no human being has any good in him, and then starts listing off good things that came about because of Hitler's direct involvement, and that he created microphones, the technology behind microphones, and the technology behind highways, and all this other shit. And from a factual standpoint, he's not wrong. Nazi engineers did innovate a lot of shit, and if you're being strictly objective about that, the utility of some of the things they created is still used to this day. Now, am I going to sit around saying, oh, well, Hitler wasn't a bad guy? No, the guy was a fucking degenerate, one-nutted fucking failure artist that managed to take his little small man complex to the ultimate conclusion of killing like 6 million fucking people. And that's just the Jews in the concentration camps. That's not counting anybody else like that were victims of the war. It was an absolutely horrific time led by an horribly horrific group of people. It wasn't all just him. Yeah, he was their front man. He was the voice. He was the face of the party. He was the figurehead. A lot of those shitty ideals were his, I'm sure, but he had a whole cabal of people that were behind it that don't nearly come up as easily in conversation because people don't actually want to know what happened. They don't learn about the past anymore. They know a name, and that's what they latch onto. So, yeah, Kanye did something fucking stupid, blew himself up. Was it deliberate? I don't know. Was it trolling? I don't know. Was it stupid? Fuck yes, it was stupid. From an idealistic standpoint, the Nazis were horrible, horrible people. And anybody who says differently, anybody who denies the Holocaust, any of this other shit, you got to be out of your fucking nut. And I'm never going to take the stance of saying, oh, well, it was okay because they did X, Y, and Z. But you also can't deny the origins of certain things, which is a whole different conversation. Some good things come from really horrible, shitty situations. But that doesn't mean you sit around going, oh, well, I don't hate anybody. And some people said he's trying to take a more Christ-like approach and loving everyone unconditionally, which is utter just, yeah, he made a couple great albums. He's not that fucking great. He's not Christ-like. But my real issue with all this is, like I said, I've been talking shit about Kanye for 2 decades at this point. And I almost feel like a shitty little hipster about, like, well, I hated Kanye before it was cool. Yeah, fuck you for taking that away from me, Kanye. Fuck you for getting everybody else in the world mad at you. And now my hatred for you has become like this stupid hipsterist neckbeard bullshit. So, yeah, I got an extra reason to hate Kanye. I mean, like I said, I'm not 100% convinced he actually believes the shit that's coming out of his mouth. I think it could be a case of I think he's trying to make as much of a spectacle as possible for whatever fucking reason. The guy's not well. He should get some counseling. He should get some therapy. He should get some fucking help. Maybe he just needs a fucking hug and, to be told, yeah, okay, Kim's got a shit ton of your money and she's got your kids and you're supposed to have joint custody. You just shot that one right in the fucking ass by being stupid, but maybe you can get your shit back together, get organized. Not get back together with her, but I mean get your shit together. Pull your head out of your ass so the judge doesn't say, you know what, you're never going to see your fucking kids again. And then that way they won't grow up resenting you and hating you for making their lives into utter shit shows. Not that their lives are going to be utter shit shows. I mean, mama's got billions of dollars and she's got $200,000 a month in child support. So, yeah, those kids will be fine. It's not, a case of Crimea River for the fucking West children. But at the same time, Kanye's support structures really, he doesn't seem to have any good people around him to help keep his ass in check. He's got to be off of whatever meds he's supposed to be on. I know he took it really hard when his mom died because she was like his only cheerleader for a while. So the guy's not in a good place. And, we should show a little understanding, a little compassion, and maybe worry more about getting him help than fucking canceling him and making sure that he pays for saying stupid, crazy shit. Because that's really what it is. It's stupid and crazy shit. And if he's legitimately having the fucking mental issues that it seems like he's having, we shouldn't be trying to, end him and persecute him into the fucking ground and make sure he never has another way to say anything ever hurtful and harmful and bad again. And maybe worry more about getting the guy some fucking help so he doesn't keep doing stupid, crazy shit. And, so that's kind of my thoughts on Kanye's little antics. The fact that he went on Alex Jones and then stole the crazy away from Alex fucking Jones, that's pretty impressive. You got to give him that. And he's been having a rough run between the banks taking away the access to his money and all this other shit that's been going on. He's not having a good time with it. And doubling down on between the anti-Semitic remarks that he was making, which, I guess the only good thing you could say about it is at least he wasn't saying we should need to exterminate all the Jews, so he didn't go full crazy. But you don't go from making anti-Semitic remarks to saying Hitler wasn't such a bad dude without coming off as a bit of a fucking wackadoo. And yeah, that's probably accurate. The guy's probably a bit of a fucking wackadoo. So, like I said, maybe we need to get him some help. Maybe we need to get him back on his meds. Maybe we need to get him some counseling so he learns how to deal with all the way that his life basically fell apart. And, stop trying to look for some shadowy cabal that's deliberately fucking him over. And, maybe own up, take a little responsibility to some of the dumb shit he's done over the years and how it kind of has a compounding effect. And then, maybe he can grow up and move on with his fucking life. And then he can go back to being back on my beef board of somebody I can actually respect myself for taking issue with, instead of like feeling like I'm just on the bandwagon at this point. But give me my credit. If I'm on the bandwagon, I'm steering that motherfucker because I've been hating on this guy for 20 fucking years. And with that being said, we're going to take a little pause for a break here, and I'll come back and talk about the other thing I want to talk about.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
This episode is brought to you by Kia's first 3-row all-electric SUV, the Kia EV9, with available all-wheel drive and seating for up to 7 adults, with a 0 to 60 speed that thrills you 1 minute, and available reclining lounge seats that unwind you the next. Visit kia.com/EV9 to learn more. Ask your Kia dealer for availability. No system, no matter how advanced, can compensate for all driver error and or driving conditions. Always drive safely.
All right, so thanks for sitting through that. I appreciate it. I know it ain't much, but at some point all these little pennies are going to cash out, and I might be able to pay off my Patreon subscriptions to all the other shows I listen to for a month or something. I don't know. If I can get the show to start just breaking even, I'd call it a win. But, anyway, so the other thing that happened here, and there's a lot to unpack with this, so I'm going to try and keep it fairly brief, was the end of the week, Twitter's been a shit show since Elon bought it. The guy is doing the best he can to tear the standing structure apart. There's a lot of glitches going through it. There's a lot of problems coming on with it. If you're not on Twitter as a social media platform, more power to you. It's been kind of a shit show these last few days, and I don't see that it's going to be that way for a little while. But one of the things about Elon taking over Twitter, and they've been removing restrictions, unbanning accounts that were banned for no apparent reason. Speaking as somebody who, under the previous management's guidance, had multiple posts either silenced or struck down or warnings for account violations and threatens to have my account suspended because I said things that didn't fit the narrative they liked. And the thing about that is, a lot there. Anybody who was particularly active on Twitter that was not of a certain political bent, and I'm trying to keep this, I'm trying not to get too political with things, but in this circumstance, it's actually relevant. And the thing about this is, as Elon has taken over the company and he's gained access to a bunch of their servers and a bunch of the files and emails and a bunch of other stuff, and had stuff brought to his attention, and I'm sure there's some internal whistleblowers. And I said before, I appreciate what he's doing. He's trying to trim the fat, turn this thing from a business that was hemorrhaging $4 million a day into something that may at some point be profitable. And there's a lot of skeletons in their closets, including, it's not just a closet full of t-shirts that said #woke on it. There's a lot of skeletons in that closet. And there's a lot of implications with the stuff that's come out. So this week, Elon did a drop of, he went to a reporter who was, I forget the guy's name, it's Matt something. I'm sorry, I should be better prepared, but I'm not. That wouldn't be my style, I guess. So you wouldn't be ranting if I went out with a bunch of notes. Anyway, this guy who he has like a Substack. He has a contributing author to a bunch of different news outlets. And his whole thing, one of the reasons he was a good person for Elon to do this like Twitter info dump to is he's the kind of guy that would go after billionaires for being billionaires. He's the kind of guy that would, he had some degree of journalistic integrity. It's not like he could be bought off to just leave these guys alone. Now, the funny thing is, a whole bunch of people that are taking issue with all this stuff that was just dumped they started calling him a sellout, starting to say, oh, well, now, you're sucking the world's richest man's dick. Congratulations. Shit like that. Just utter ridiculous shit. Because Elon dumps information in this guy's lap to publish a story. He breaks the story on Twitter live on like Friday night. And it's like a 30-some long tweet thread with basically receipts for all kinds of shit that Twitter was doing in the name of like collusion, I guess, for the best way of putting it, to where the people who were in charge of oversight for basically, making sure there was no hate speech and the different things that were being censored, not only were they acting outside of the auspices of the CEO knowing what was going on, from what you can tell, from what the drop looks like, but it's just receipt after receipt of different issues being addressed, tweets that one political party or the other, and they did, pull stuff at the request of celebrities, at the request of different politicians. But the rub of it is, after establishing that, yes, they would do this for multiple groups and multiple people, it goes into this whole thing about how they were actively suppressing the New York Times story on Hunter Biden's laptop, which has, turned out to become a verified and authenticated thing. Yes, that was legitimately Hunter Biden's laptop. That is legitimately him smoking crack and fucking hookers on his laptop. There's allegedly a bunch of child pornography on there and a bunch of other shit, a bunch of emails exposing corruption in the Biden campaign and making references to the sitting president that are very, very unflattering and could have theoretically, if it had not been completely silenced, possibly swayed the election. So it's being construed as election interference, which honestly, it kind of is. And it was done at the behest of the people that were supposed to be running Twitter in the interest of forcing their personal political beliefs to be the accepted narrative. And a lot of people were sitting there going, well, it's a private company. They can do what they want, blah, blah, blah. And technically it's true. But the people who were all saying that were also the same ones who have a problem with, they don't have a problem with having the other side silenced. They have a problem with having the other side have the same voice they say, with it being an open forum kind of thing. And the real issue I take from this is, and there are receipts for this. There is also receipts for all these screen caps. You're more than welcome to go look on it. But all the different government agencies that came out saying the Hunter Biden story was fake, it was Russian misinformation, it was a distraction, it was all this other shit. So these are all like sworn federal agents, sworn governmental employees who basically lied to the general public, used the media and social media to push through these lies. Now, there are much bigger implications going on here because other social media platforms Mark Zuckerberg even admitted to the FBI coming to him and saying, look, these are things we don't want you letting get any kind of traction. And so Meta complied with that, and for the most part, all the other social media platforms are all towing the same line. And this is receipts of actual government manipulation of public information and manipulation for freedom of speech. And now one of the things is, now Twitter is like, global company, a global app. It's used by people from around the world. And in a lot of other countries, they don't have the same issue where it's necessarily, the government is more used to telling people what they can and can't say and what they can and can't do and what they can and can't think. But that goes against the fundamental tenets of the American government. So the fact that these politicians, political figures, government agencies were acting in such a manner, and now we have like verifiable proof that this is the case, and these people at Twitter were colluding with the government, then it becomes an issue of violating the First Amendment of the Constitution and freedom of speech and a bunch of other real hinky areas where people that are better versed legally could probably explain it better. But the general gist of it is that there was a lot of fuckery afoot. And it wasn't just the left, but the suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop is the one that was like co-signed by a bunch of federal, at the time, sitting federal bodies, governing agencies from the FBI, CIA, yada, yada, yada. All these supposedly, verifiable sources were saying, oh no, this is all bullshit. And we come to find out not only was it not bullshit, but they were deliberately doing this. And honestly, I really don't think much is going to come of it as other than, they're actively going after Elon in as many ways as possible. They're like, oh, well, yeah, he's already being subjected to all these federal probes for this, that, and the other. And it's like, yeah, what a coincidence. The information that these probes supposedly launched months ago are all just coming to light the same week he drops all this shit. Yeah, that doesn't look hinky at all. And that part of that shows, too, the fact that the U.S. government is run by a bunch of old fucks because they don't understand the mentality of the vast majority of this country anymore, where we are connected to enough to each other to be able to pick up on these threads without coming off like complete conspiracy nuts now, because we have instantaneous communication. We have, like I said, we have the screenshots, we have the receipts, and people are more used to dealing with that. Now, you still get the motherfuckers that are in complete denial, and everything that doesn't fit with their mentality is a fabrication or is a lie or is misinformation, counterintelligence, propaganda. There's all these different things where people will do and say anything they can to avoid having to acknowledge something that doesn't fit with their ideals or with their values. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of shit going on. I mean, Elon's basically walking around with a target on his back at this point, from what I can tell. And he's the world's richest man, but you get enough of the less rich people to be fed up with you at the same time, they're going to work together, and you can't fight everybody at once, as much as I hate to say it. But there are bigger implications, because this massive post that came out was initially followed up with a comment from Elon saying, stay tuned for part 2. Now, part 2 hasn't dropped yet. Me personally, I'm really kind of hoping it's more stuff related to COVID and the mask mandates and the misinformation and the vaccine and all the other stuff, where this comes more closely, because I didn't make a lot of posts about Hunter Biden being a prostitute banging junkie. So I didn't really lose a lot of any of my personal stances. I didn't get any dings on any of my accounts for talking shit about Smoking Joe's buddy there. But I did get a lot of dings when I was questioning the validity of the vax, when I was questioning the sanity of putting untested, chemicals into our bodies in the name of stopping a very minorly lethal virus. Now, for the people that did get it and died from it, it was fucking horrible. Yeah, but it has a 98 point whatever % survival rate. So yeah, it sucks. But at the same time, we put an untested vaccine. Well, it's not a vaccine. We put an untested jab into our system because the government said we had to, because we were told we were going to lose our jobs, and so a lot of people didn't. And I respect the hell out of the people who stuck to their guns and said no. I have yet to meet a single person that regretted not getting the vaccination or the jab. I regret getting it every fucking day. Every time I get a headache, I start asking myself, is this going to be my downfall, my unexplained died suddenly thing? Is this going to be the one that ends me? Is this going to be it? Every time I cough too hard, I started trying to get back into shape. Every time my friggin' chest hurts, I'm like, is that soreness from the muscles, or is this it? Is this going to be a grabber and I'm done? Is this my myocarditis moment? Do I have hypertension now? I've had low blood pressure all my life. Last time I went to the doctor, it was probably the highest I think I've ever had it be at a checkup. Now, granted, part of that could be because I'm miserably out of shape and I'm a big fat bastard, but at the same time, I'm actively working on getting back into shape and being in better health, and my blood pressure's still going through the fucking roof. There's no reason for that. My cholesterol is good. My triglycerides are good. My blood sugar's being managed thanks to a lot of medications, but yeah, no, I shouldn't be having high blood pressure every fucking day. So that's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm looking forward to, is when's this next drop going to come in? Is this going to show how the government was forcing social media to regulate speech to prevent a narrative that they knew was accurate, but went against what they were trying to do? And I mean, I don't like getting too tin hat on the whole fucking thing, but realistically, Big Pharma made billions and billions of dollars off of the COVID mandates. They got blanket immunity where they can't be sued for the fact that their vaccines, and I'm using air quotes, you can't see them because this is an auditory medium, but their jab is causing side effects that are killing people. Statistically, all kinds of medical conditions are spiking 200, 300, 400% from what they had been a year, 2, 3 years ago. And it's still kind of taboo to talk about it in some circles. And you'll still get warnings put on social media posts if you say something about it. Now, you can say stuff about it on Twitter and they no longer drop a ban hammer on you. So that's, I guess progress, sort of. But my question is really, what are we going to do if it comes out that we were not only lied to, but actively manipulated to put us in a position that, in the long and the short of it, has jeopardized our health, has jeopardized a lot of things. People have had their families torn apart because of disagreements over this shit. People have lost their jobs, lost their livelihood. We have people in the military that decided to end their military service instead of taking a vaccination that wasn't, a vaccination, and it wasn't proven to be worth the risk. So yeah, that's what I want to see the Twitter drop on. That's the files I want to see. I mean, we all knew the Hunter Biden laptop story was accurate, except for the people who wanted to actively say, oh no, there's no way. That's got to be a Russian disinformation. There's no way that the crackhead son of the sitting president could really be a crackhead and be banging hookers and arguing with bitches over the price of how they got ripped off for his blow and all this other shit. Contrary to all the other bullshit that he had gotten up to prior to the laptop becoming an issue. But, it's neither here nor there. I don't give a shit about Hunter Biden. I don't give a shit about Joe Biden, other than the fact that he's a corrupt, senile, shambling corpse that shouldn't be at the reins of the country. And the people that put him there knew that when they gave him the job. It's not like he was picked because he was particularly suited for the gig. He was picked because he's as corrupt as the rest of them. He's a career politician. He's a professional liar. And they've got him so doped up to make his public speeches and his public appearances that it's a miracle the guy doesn't just collapse on camera. And frankly, I'm still kind of waiting for that. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not trying to be petty. I'm not trying to be, stirring shit up at this point. I just want to know the truth. That's what it ultimately boils down to. And the official narrative, no matter how much evidence comes out, nothing's going to happen from it. Maybe I'm cynical, maybe I'm jaded. That's honestly what I believe is no matter how much proof we have, no matter how much evidence there is of wrongdoing by the powers that be, nothing is going to happen. Worst case scenario, somebody will be offered up as a sacrificial offering. They will go to jail, publicly be harangued for all this bullshit. And then they're just going to keep kicking the can along until the wheels actually fall off of things. So that just goes back to what I'm always saying. We got to be better. We got to do better for ourselves and for each other, because they're not going to do it for us. There's no Captain Save-A-Ho out there that's going to come along and fix things. We got to do it ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to be better for ourselves. So, we're in the holidays now. In the spirit of the holidays, be good to each other. Do some random kind shit for people that you have no reason to be nice to other than the fact that it'll make you feel good that you did something for a complete stranger. And for now, that's what I have to say. Thanks for listening to another episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating. Go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list, interact with the show. Click the links, sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord, come and interact, be a part of the show, buy the merch, support your favorite creator, or support me. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.